Professor, for your project, you define a lot of connections for the residents to move around, for the occupants of your towers to move around, you have up and down. How about the sustainable design part? How much does it weigh in your master planning for this cluster of buildings up and down, while you are trying to maintain the transparency of the mass of the building using glass curtain wall rather than so solid? What kind of sustainable measure, including the weather in Tel Aviv, that affects your design process?
Thank you for the question, because we are dealing a lot of solutions to achieve a high degree of sustainability, especially in high-risers and in glass towers. And we have several projects that we use double skin facades. We are the first in Israel to achieve the greatest degree of the lead platinum with a project, not in this project, in another one. Thanks to the fact that we developed together with the aluminum company a new system of double skin facade suitable for hot climate, contrary to cold climate, in which in the cavity the internal shading moving according to the sun radiation, supplying diffused light even when you have direct sunlight and avoiding radiation inside. We have up to now 2 projects of that. In this project in Midtown, we just designed it before we came out with these solutions, but we have internal shading that take care of the sun inside. We have a long history in Israel of glass facade protected with Venetian blinds moved electrically. And we are also happen to be consultants of the Tel Aviv municipality in the sustainable codes in order to ensure that actually all the buildings in Tel Aviv will not go below a certain level of wasting energy. That's about the glass towers, but mainly the urban structure that we developed achieve alleys which are shadowed because of the proportion, because they are narrow alleys that are shadowed by the mass of the buildings, and we check the shadows. So there are many naturally shadowed spaces. And then I've mentioned that we have a roof garden for the childcare. Then we supply dynamic shadowing system in order to protect the children. And then coming to the Central Plaza, it's a very intensive planting, and we have taken care of enough ground in order for the trees to grow up. So in the internal Central Park, we count on the shading of the trees. So actually all the urban structure of the complex on the lower levels is in a way that we try to ensure the conditions to save energy and actually make it suitable for pedestrian use in all year around. While fixing it, I wanted to add that sustainability is also have some social needs, and the fact that we have located a very great amount of very small, affordable apartments in the tower actually brings a very special kind of population. And it's not only people who can't buy big apartments, but also people who are, let's say, single or divorced, or of the homo-lesbian part, that actually all their life, most of their life is outside the apartment, and the apartment is mainly for sleeping. So it's a very high quality population that enriches all the activity inside the project, but the need is only for small apartment. That's why we have located many small apartments in one building.
Yeah, how about, you also have 2 residents and all the office space. For the amenities, how about the schools or supermarkets and so on? Is it part of this master planning for the education facilities?
Yes, certainly. As I've mentioned, it's a multi-function, multi-use project. And it's a multi-use project that functions supply at the same time the needs of all the users of the space and also the passers-by, because we defined it also as an urban hub and also as I've defined it, urban oasis. So it's a stay place and it's a go place. So we have in Midtown 20,000 square meters of commercial use, in Israeli town additional few thousands, in which there will be commercial answers also for the needs of the residential inhabitants, for the needs of the business, and for the needs of the whole community of Tel Aviv who will pass through or stay in that.
So I have one question for Mr. Ogaily. Do you have any idea or any comments from the actual citizens of those cities you were talking about? Actually, as professionals, we have some criticism, we have our thoughts, but what is the outcome? Do you have any feedback from the people, the citizens of those cities that remember 20 years ago what it looked like and what it is today?
Well, that's a good question. In each society, I mean, the culture is affected by, a lot of items and elements that we are living by every day. Globalization is something which has impacted all the social culture and issues and values that we are living in. And we all, I mean, as we are maybe among ourselves, the IT, the mobile, the plastic money, as I said, something which has changed significantly the way that we live. There are two types of people, actually. People who are above, say, 50 years old in age. They remember the old days of how they were living, how they were going to meet their neighbors, how they were being open to, society and social living, and where the planning and the urban fabric has been so much integrated that the village or the city is becoming one unit that everybody knows everybody else. Neighborhoods, I mean, people will move within their neighborhoods, but anybody who moves to another neighborhood will become a stranger. So people, I mean, the dwellings in each cluster of the society is becoming like one family. The old generation, that is the old generation. The young generation who studied and, went to the West and get back to, to their countries, they have different sorts of, mentality and different culture. Apparently, our culture, unfortunately, that's for my personal things, other people might like it. We are going into to individualist sort of culture. I mean, within a family, every single children, I mean, in the family from 2-3 years is playing with his mobile. So, talking about this culture, I mean, we're talking about mobile culture within a family, within a house. So individuality has become the role of the globe. And we are going there without any sort of reverse or reconsideration of, is that right? What is the values that we are losing, apparently, at the end of the day? And architects, planners, are the most important, I mean, responsible, people who are making the space and making the designs and get the space of people living together is, the way how you want to address it, how to shape it. And I think even that one has been lost. And if I'm talking with what I've said, I believe that I'm odd. And, 90% of or 80% of architects' planet doesn't feel the same way. We are losing the morality, we are using the ethics. We are using the ethics of the architects and designers They are now working, and all the designs become like a vitrine, whatever type of model you are using for a twisted building this way, or out building this way, or top of the building that way. That's become something which is required. And so going back to your question, is that in Dubai is not becoming a city of its own. Dubai has become an international hub. So when you talk about 17% of population is locals. So at the end of the day, who govern and who has actually set up the culture of the city? Is it the locals, or is it the expat? So at the end of the day, when you go there, it's the expat who create or who is enforcing these sorts of society, whereby architects are following and responding to what the clients wants. They cannot say no. I remember in my young ages when I used to get a project or a job to design, and if my clients would say, no, I don't like it, I said, thank you very much, go and see another architect. Because I have a responsibility of designing to a certain human scale, to a certain fabric, to a certain level of society. This has been lost. So we are divided in our societies. Unfortunately, those who are above 60s, like myself, it's become a dream for us to go back and live in a coffee shop or see friends in our age in coffee shops, which is now even becoming less and less. So we have now covered malls, air-conditioned malls, where you get shopping, restaurants, cinemas, ice skating, everything there. So it's a different world. If you ask me who is, forcing these values, it is a big question that, it needs a total symposium to discuss it with the architects and colleagues, that what we want to do, what we are doing, and how much we are done, and how we will be dealing with the future. Fortunately, I've seen some of a retreat from the architects to go back to, a new classicism, and urban designs, whereby it respects the social values and cultural values. Identity is lost. City identities is lost. And most serious and tragic elements in the whole regional society in the Middle East, and especially the wealthy people, they consider the history as something which they have to get rid of because it is associated with poverty. Now they got the money, and they have to use it the way they want to live with whatever standards of living they were traveling and see in New York, in Paris, in London, whatever it is, to bring those culture in it. But inside, the mentality is still, same mentality, but we become materialistic consumers of civilization, and that is the most dangerous things. And I believe that our future generation will suffer from these things a lot.
If I may.
Thank you very much for so much material for thinking.
Just as a comment, identity can be achieved by qualities of design and not only by sticking to some symbols. So maybe it's a way of a very excellent urbanic and architectural design to come to excellent identity, which is of our time.
Well, identity starts with urban, not with architecture.